The plan was to surprise her, to sweep her away for a delightful dinner, a gesture fueled by love and excitement. Yet, deep down, beneath the surface of my enthusiasm, lay a gnawing suspicion that had been festering for the past 3 months, a suspicion of infidelity. Megan, my beloved wife of 14 years, a woman whose presence had graced my life since our high school days, now seemingly embroiled in a clandestine affair. The thought was a bitter pill to swallow, a dagger to the heart. We had built a life together, blessed with 2 wonderful children, Sarah and Todd, ages 12 and 10 respectively. Our journey together had been one of shared dreams and mutual support, or so I had thought, until shadows of doubt began to cloud my mind. Megan, with her cascading brown locks, her lithe frame, and her radiant smile, had always been the epitome of joy and fidelity. However, in recent months, a subtle shift had occurred, imperceptible to some but glaringly apparent to the keen observer that I had become. It was in the tardiness of her returns from business trips, the evasiveness in her explanations, and the inexplicable change in her demeanor that the seeds of suspicion were sown. Yet, confronting her seemed an insurmountable hurdle, a leap into the abyss of uncertainty and potential discord. The opportunity presented itself that day. The conference conveniently closed, offering a chance to unveil the truth, to confront the specter of betrayal head-on. Arriving at the Marriott, I assumed the guise of Phil Jenkins, a nondescript alias crafted for the sake of anonymity. At the hotel counter, I exchanged pleasantries with the clerk, a facade masking the turmoil within. With bated breath, I requested the key to room 214, where Megan purportedly resided during her stay. As I ascended in the elevator, a maelstrom of emotions churned within me. Doubt, fear, and resolve mingled in a tumultuous symphony of conflicting feelings. What awaited me behind that door? Would I find the confirmation of my worst fears, or would I be greeted by the familiar sight of my wife, innocent and unsuspecting? Steeling myself for the confrontation ahead, I approached the door with trepidation. With a trembling hand, I inserted the key, unlocking the barrier between truth and deception. The door swung open, revealing Megan, not in the throes of passion with a clandestine lover, but immersed in the mundane task of paperwork. Relief washed over me like a wave, tinged with a hint of disappointment at the shattered illusion of betrayal. Megan's surprise at my unannounced visit mirrored my own inner turmoil, swiftly giving way to warmth and affection at the prospect of an unexpected rendezvous. The tension dissipated, replaced by the comforting embrace of familiarity. Megan's invitation to dinner was a balm to my wounded soul, a respite from the turmoil of suspicion that had plagued me for months. As we exchanged pleasantries and affectionate gestures, the specter of infidelity faded into the recesses of my mind. Yet, as I sat on the edge of the bed, a subtle reminder of doubt emerged. Megan's toiletry case, innocuous in appearance, held within it a revelation that threatened to shatter the fragile peace we had restored. Within the confines of that small compartment lay a pack of contraceptives, a silent testament to a truth left unspoken. Confusion and disbelief gripped me as I held the contraceptives in my hand, a silent witness to a mystery yet unraveled. The implications of their presence weighed heavily upon me, casting a shadow over the newfound tranquility of our reunion. In that moment, as I grappled with the revelation before me, a single question echoed in the recesses of my mind: what secrets lay hidden beneath the veneer of familiarity, and what truths awaited discovery in the depths of uncertainty? In the midst of turmoil and uncertainty, as I grappled with the unsettling revelation unearthed from Megan's toiletry case, I hesitated to swiftly conclude that my beloved wife was indeed engaged in infidelity. Uncertainty loomed over me like a shroud, casting doubt upon my next course of action. With a mixture of trepidation and resolve, I embarked on a subtle act of sabotage, puncturing holes in each contraceptive with a safety pin, a clandestine alteration aimed at unraveling the truth. As Megan lingered in the shower, enveloped in obliviousness to the turmoil brewing within me, I reached out to a trusted friend back home. Freddie's unwavering loyalty proved to be a beacon of support in my hour of need, as he readily agreed to aid me in my clandestine endeavor. With a sense of urgency, I outlined the plan, orchestrating a ruse to extricate myself from the impending confrontation with my unfaithful wife. With a heavy heart and a sense of resignation, I resigned myself to the inevitability of the situation, dreading the impending confrontation yet resolved to uncover the truth. As Megan emerged from the confines of the bathroom, a tumult of emotions surged within me, a tempest of anger and betrayal restrained by the veneer of composure that I struggled to maintain. In a bid to conceal my newfound awareness of her transgressions, I steered our conversation towards mundane pleasantries, masking the seething resentment that churned within me. Despite my inner turmoil, I found myself drawn into a facade of normalcy, engaging in idle chatter as we awaited the arrival of our meal. As I navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the hotel lobby, a sense of desolation washed over me, mingling with the bitter taste of betrayal that lingered upon my tongue. In that moment of solitude, as I contemplated the wreckage of my shattered illusions, I found solace in the knowledge that despite the pain and turmoil that lay ahead, I had taken the first step towards reclaiming my dignity and confronting the truth that had long eluded me. As I grappled with the weight of betrayal and uncertainty, a sense of determination settled upon me like a shroud, compelling me to confront Megan to ensure that her actions would not go unchallenged. Boarding the elevator, a fleeting moment of respite was shattered as Kirk Langford disembarked, an unexpected intrusion into the turmoil of my thoughts. With a forced smile and a facade of cordiality, I exchanged pleasantries with Kirk, masking the seething resentment that simmered beneath the surface. As we ascended in silence, the confines of the elevator became a battleground for the war raging within me, a silent struggle against the specter of betrayal that threatened to engulf me. With trembling resolve, I broached the subject once more with Megan, laying bare my concerns and fears, imploring her to sever ties with Kirk and abandon the job that had become a source of discord between us. Yet, her response was a dagger to the heart, a testament to her defiance and unwillingness to yield to my demands. With a heavy heart and a sense of resignation, I bade Megan farewell, a hollow gesture of civility masking the turmoil that churned within me. As I embarked on the journey homeward, a sense of desolation enveloped me, mingling with the bitter taste of betrayal that lingered upon my tongue. The road stretched out before me like a path of uncertainty, fraught with the echoes of unanswered questions and unspoken truths. Arriving home, the weight of despair hung heavy upon me, a burden too heavy to bear alone. In the solitude of my thoughts, I grappled with the revelation of Megan's infidelity, a truth that threatened to unravel the very fabric of our marriage. Divorce loomed on the horizon, a specter of inevitability that I could no longer ignore, yet the absence of concrete evidence left me paralyzed with indecision. In my darkest hour, I sought solace in the embrace of anonymity, reaching out to a trusted confidant for guidance and support. 2 days later, as Megan returned home with an air of obliviousness, I found myself consumed by a simmering rage, a fury born of betrayal and deceit. Rummaging through her belongings, I unearthed the damning evidence of her infidelity, a solitary contraceptive with a punctured hole, a silent testament to her deception. As Saturday dawned, I found myself thrust into the tumult of the Globies Insurance Company picnic, a facade of normalcy masking the turmoil that raged within. Suspicion lingered in the air, a silent accusation that threatened to engulf me in its wake. Yet, amidst the sea of faces, one stood out with startling clarity. Janet Langford, a vision of beauty and poise, whose presence stirred within me a sense of longing and confusion. Engaging in idle conversation, we found ourselves drawn to a secluded spot by the lake, a sanctuary amidst the chaos of the picnic. With a sense of trepidation, Janet broached the delicate subject that hung between us like a veil of uncertainty. In that moment of shared vulnerability, I found solace in the knowledge that I was not alone in my plight, that there were others who shared in the pain of betrayal and deceit. Together, we embarked on a journey of discovery and redemption, united in our quest for truth and justice. And though the road ahead was fraught with uncertainty, I took comfort in the knowledge that I was not alone, that together, we would confront the demons that haunted us and emerge stronger on the other side. As the gravity of our situation settled upon us, Janet, with a determined resolve, revealed the legal strategy she had devised in response to her husband's infidelity. With a measured tone, she outlined her lawyer's advice, emphasizing the importance of Megan's willingness to testify or sign a notarized statement regarding the affair, a pivotal step in strengthening her case. Curiosity piqued. I delved deeper into the specifics, probing Janet about the evidence she had amassed. She spoke of photos capturing incriminating moments, taped phone conversations echoing with the whispers of betrayal, and meticulously documented times and dates, each piece of evidence a damning indictment of Kirk and Meghan's illicit liaison. In a bid for mutual cooperation, Janet expressed her willingness to collaborate, seeking assistance from my lawyer to bolster her case with additional evidence. Acknowledging her vulnerability and lack of concrete proof, she appealed to my sense of empathy, recognizing the importance of solidarity in the face of adversity. Simultaneously, I revealed my own legal strategy poised to take action against Globey's insurance company, armed with statements corroborating the complicity of specific management-level officials in turning a blind eye to the affair. The prospect of confronting corporate negligence with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit loomed large, a testament to the gravity of the situation we faced. Amidst the tumult of legal proceedings, a glimmer of camaraderie emerged between Janet and me, forged in the crucible of shared adversity. We exchanged tentative plans, arranging to reconvene at her residence the following morning, where we would bear witness to Kirk's indiscretions firsthand. As the day dawned, anticipation mingled with apprehension, setting the stage for a confrontation that would shape the course of our respective futures. With Meghan occupied with errands, I made arrangements for the children's care, ensuring their absence during the pivotal moments that lay ahead. Upon my arrival at Janet's doorstep, I was greeted with a sense of purpose, as we retreated to the sanctuary of her den, where a large computer monitor awaited, poised to unveil the truth that had remained shrouded in secrecy. With a gesture of hospitality, Janet offered refreshments, a gesture of camaraderie amidst the solemnity of our task. As the minutes ticked by, Janet explained the intricacies of the setup, a live feed of Kirk's golf game poised to expose the depth of his deception. With a sense of trepidation, I settled into my seat, bracing myself for the revelations that lay ahead. The tension in the room was palpable, a silent testament to the weight of the truth that hung in the air. As the monitor flickered to life, revealing Kirk and Meghan in the throes of passion, a wave of conflicting emotions washed over me, a maelstrom of anger, betrayal, and disbelief. Yet, amidst the chaos, there was a sense of closure, a vindication of the suspicions that had plagued me for so long. As the events unfolded before our eyes, Janet and I bore witness to the unraveling of Kirk and Meghan's illicit affair, a cathartic moment of reckoning that would forever alter the course of our lives. In that moment of shared vulnerability, we found solace in the knowledge that we were not alone, that together, we would emerge from the shadows of betrayal, stronger and more resilient than ever before. In the surreal realm of surveillance, where reality blurred with discomfort, I found myself grappling with the unsettling spectacle unfolding before me. The image on the screen, though garbled in sound, was crystal clear in its depiction of my wife entangled in a web of intimacy with her husband and a stranger. Janet's casual remark about the stranger's physique pierced through the awkward silence, eliciting a strained smile from me, though my mind raced with a tumult of conflicting emotions. As the scene played out, each moment more uncomfortable than the last, I could no longer suppress the unease gnawing at the pit of my stomach. With a hesitant admission of my discomfort, I broached the subject with Janet, tentatively questioning the necessity of continuing our voyeuristic endeavor. To my relief, she echoed my sentiments, and together, we made the decision to disengage from the voyeuristic spectacle. Yet, even as we sought refuge from the discomfort of the screen, the weight of reality hung heavy upon us, a reminder of the painful truths that lay beneath the surface. Though the act of watching felt inherently wrong, the knowledge that the events were being recorded for legal purposes provided a semblance of justification, a thin veil of rationalization in the face of moral ambiguity. As we retreated from the den, the tension in the air palpable, I found solace in Janet's companionship, a shared understanding born of mutual adversity. Her suggestion of exploring her koi ponds offered a welcome reprieve from the turmoil of the day, a chance to connect on a more personal level amidst the chaos of our circumstances. As we wandered through the tranquil oasis of Janet's backyard, the rhythmic hum of the pumping and filter systems resonating with a soothing familiarity, I couldn't help but marvel at the beauty of her hobby. In that moment, amidst the serenity of the ponds and the gentle rustle of leaves, I felt a sense of kinship with Janet, a shared passion transcending the boundaries of our tumultuous reality. In the days that followed, as I grappled with the aftermath of our surveillance, I found myself consumed by a sense of urgency, a desperate need to uncover the truth that lay hidden beneath the surface. Each new supply of contraceptives in Megan's bag served as a stark reminder of her betrayal, fueling my determination to confront her once and for all. Yet, amidst the turmoil of my personal turmoil, I found solace in the innocence of my children's joy, their excitement over their visits to the coy lady serving as a welcome distraction from the complexities of adult life. In their laughter and smiles, I found a glimmer of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is light to be found in the simplest of pleasures. As the weeks passed and tensions simmered beneath the surface, I made futile attempts to persuade Megan to sever ties with her job and her involvement with Kirk, only to be met with staunch rejection at every turn. With each rejection, the rift between us widened, a silent testament to the irreconcilable differences that threatened to tear our marriage apart. Yet, amidst the turmoil of uncertainty and betrayal, I clung to the hope that one day, we would emerge from the shadows of deception and reclaim the semblance of normalcy that had been shattered by our shared secrets. And though the road ahead was fraught with uncertainty, I found solace in the knowledge that I was not alone, that together, we would weather the storm and emerge stronger on the other side. Amidst the tumult of our crumbling marriage, each exchange with Megan became a battleground, a skirmish of words laced with resentment and reproach. Her barbed comments about my masculinity stung, leaving wounds that festered beneath the surface, yet paradoxically, they fueled the fire of my resolve, providing a semblance of justification for the drastic measures I was about to undertake. Then, on an unassuming Tuesday night, Megan dropped a bombshell, her words echoing like thunder in the silence of our shared space. She confessed to feeling overwhelmed, stressed by the burdens of daily life, and proposed a solution that would set the stage for the final act of our marital drama. A trip to her sister's, she suggested, a week-long respite from the pressures of work and family, a chance for me to unwind while she tended to matters afar. In her mind, the prospect of solitude with my sister was preferable to the sterile confines of a therapist's office, a misguided attempt to offer solace in the face of my mounting anxieties. With a heavy heart, I nodded in acquiescence, masking the turmoil that churned within me, silently bracing myself for the storm that was yet to come. As the night wore on, sleep eluded me, my mind consumed by the weight of the tasks that lay ahead. With a sense of resignation, I resigned myself to the inevitability of the moment, steeling myself for the role I was about to play in shaping our shared destiny. The dawn of a new day brought with it a flurry of activity, as I set about the task of finalizing my plans. With a heavy heart, I confided in my parents, acknowledging my shortcomings as a husband and seeking solace in their unwavering support. The children, blissfully unaware of the turmoil that surrounded them, reveled in the company of their grandparents, while Dad's truck stood ready to aid in the execution of my clandestine mission. As the hours ticked by, I found myself consumed by a sense of urgency, each passing moment bringing me closer to the precipice of reckoning. With a sense of determination, I embarked on the first leg of my journey, a 3-hour drive to the first termination clinic, only to be met with disappointment as I faced closed doors and locked gates. Undeterred, I pressed on, my resolve unshaken by the setbacks that littered my path. With a renewed sense of purpose, I approached the receptionist at the Family Planning Center, masking my trepidation behind a facade of confidence as I explained my purpose. With bated breath, I awaited her response, the weight of my actions bearing down upon me like a leaden cloak. In that moment, as the receptionist confirmed Megan's identity and ushered me into the depths of the unknown, I found solace in the knowledge that I was not alone, that together, we would navigate the treacherous waters of uncertainty and emerge stronger on the other side. And though the road ahead was fraught with peril, I took comfort in the belief that redemption awaited me on the horizon, a beacon of hope in the darkness of despair. As I stood at the precipice of deception, my heart pounding in my chest, I seized the opportunity that lay before me, a chance to shape the course of our shared destiny with a single stroke of the pen. With a sense of determination, I approached the receptionist at the Family Planning Center, my hands trembling with anticipation as I requested the necessary paperwork to proceed with the termination procedure. With a few deft keystrokes, the receptionist retrieved the file, her fingers dancing across the keyboard in a dance of bureaucratic efficiency. With bated breath, I watched as she scanned the screen, her eyes darting back and forth in search of the information I so desperately sought. And then, As if by some stroke of fate, she found what she was looking for, a glimmer of recognition crossing her features as she retrieved the form from the depths of the filing cabinet. In that moment, time seemed to stand still as I affixed my signature to the document, a silent testament to the lengths I was willing to go to in pursuit of my goals. With a sense of relief, I noted the scheduled time for the procedure, a small detail that held immense significance in the grand scheme of our plan. And with a final flourish of the pen, I handed the form back to the receptionist, my mission accomplished. As I made my way to Nancy and Brad's place, the weight of my actions bore down upon me like a leaden cloak, a constant reminder of the sacrifices I had made in pursuit of my goals. Yet, even as I braced myself for the confrontation that awaited me, I found solace in the knowledge that every step I took brought me closer to the resolution I so desperately sought. Upon my arrival, I was met with the facade of familial warmth, a charade that did little to mask the tension that simmered beneath the surface. With practiced ease, I feigned surprise at my presence, spinning a tale of familial obligation and the need for respite from the pressures of daily life. And though the air was thick with unspoken truths, I maintained my composure, a silent observer in the midst of the chaos that unfolded around me. As the morning dawned, I watched in silence as Jack and Brad prepared for their day on the lake, their laughter echoing in the empty spaces of the room. And though I longed to join them in their carefree revelry, I knew that my place lay elsewhere, in the shadows of deceit and betrayal. As the hours passed, I found solace in the comfort of my father's voice, his words a balm to soothe the turmoil that churned within me. And though the constant ringing of the phone served as a grim reminder of the task that lay ahead, I stood resolute in the face of adversity, knowing that every moment brought me closer to the resolution I so desperately sought. As I found myself caught in the crossfire of two furious women, the tension in the room thickened, suffusing the air with an oppressive weight that seemed to hang over us like a dark cloud. With a sense of resignation, I busied myself with the task of brewing a fresh pot of coffee, hoping to diffuse the palpable tension that simmered beneath the surface. Megan's incredulous exclamation pierced through the silence, her voice tinged with a hint of disbelief as she questioned my unexpected presence. With a forced nonchalance, I offered a feeble explanation, citing my lack of enthusiasm for fishing as the reason for my decision to remain behind. Yet, even as I spoke, I could sense the resistance in her demeanor, her rejection of my suggestion for lunch a clear indication of her displeasure. With a heavy heart, I watched as Megan and Nancy engaged in a heated exchange, their voices rising in a crescendo of frustration and anger. And though I longed to intervene, to bridge the divide that threatened to tear us apart, I knew that my efforts would be futile, that the chasm between us was too vast to overcome. As Megan reiterated her insistence on spending the day alone with Nancy, I felt a pang of disappointment, a silent acknowledgement of my own insignificance in the face of their bond. And though I longed to protest, to demand my rightful place by their side, I knew that it was a battle I could not win. A futile gesture in the face of their unwavering defeated, I resigned myself to the reality of the situation, silently acknowledging the futility of my attempts to sway their decision. With a heavy heart, I watched as Megan and Nancy retreated upstairs, their footsteps echoing in the silence of the room. As the minutes ticked by, the weight of their absence hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the rift that had formed between us. And though I longed to bridge the divide, to mend the fractures that threatened to tear us apart, I knew that it was a task beyond my capabilities. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Megan and Nancy descended the stairs, their expressions guarded as they informed me that it was time to go shopping. With a sigh of resignation, I followed them out the door, my mind awash with thoughts of what could have been. As we made our way to the mall, the tension between us remained palpable, a silent reminder of the wounds that had yet to heal. And though I longed for reconciliation, for a return to the harmony we once shared, I knew that it was a distant dream, a hope that flickered in the darkness of uncertainty. Yet, even in the face of adversity, I refused to lose hope, clinging to the belief that one day, we would find our way back to each other. And though the road ahead was fraught with challenges, I knew that with time and perseverance, we would emerge stronger than before, united in our resolve to overcome whatever obstacles lay in our path. As I found myself caught in the crossfire of two furious women, the tension in the room thickened, suffusing the air with an oppressive weight that seemed to hang over us like a dark cloud. With a sense of resignation, I busied myself with the task of brewing a fresh pot of coffee, hoping to diffuse the palpable tension that simmered beneath the surface. Megan's incredulous exclamation pierced through the silence, her voice tinged with a hint of disbelief as she questioned my unexpected presence. With a forced nonchalance, I offered a feeble explanation, citing my lack of enthusiasm for fishing as the reason for my decision to remain behind. Yet, even as I spoke, I could sense the resistance in her demeanor, her rejection of my suggestion for lunch a clear indication of her displeasure. With a heavy heart, I watched as Megan and Nancy engaged in a heated exchange, their voices rising in a crescendo of frustration and anger. And though I longed to intervene, to bridge the divide that threatened to tear us apart, I knew that my efforts would be futile, that the chasm between us was too vast to overcome. As Megan reiterated her insistence on spending the day alone with Nancy, I felt a pang of disappointment, a silent acknowledgement of my own insignificance in the face of their bond. And though I longed to protest, to demand my rightful place by their side, I knew that it was a battle I could not win, a futile gesture in the face of their unwavering defeated. I resigned myself to the reality of the situation, silently acknowledging the futility of my attempts to sway their decision. With a heavy heart, I watched as Megan and Nancy retreated upstairs, their footsteps echoing in the silence of the room. As the minutes ticked by, the weight of their absence hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the rift that had formed between us. And though I longed to bridge the divide, to mend the fractures that threatened to tear us apart, I knew that it was a task beyond my capabilities. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Megan and Nancy descended the stairs, their expressions guarded as they informed me that it was time to go shopping. With a sigh of resignation, I followed them out the door, my mind awash with thoughts of what could have been. As we made our way to the mall, the tension between us remained palpable, a silent reminder of the wounds that had yet to heal. And though I longed for reconciliation, for a return to the harmony we once shared, I knew that it was a distant dream, a hope that flickered in the darkness of uncertainty. Yet, even in the face of adversity, I refused to lose hope, clinging to the belief that one day, we would find our way back to each other. And though the road ahead was fraught with challenges, I knew that with time and perseverance, we would emerge stronger than before, united in our resolve to overcome whatever obstacles lay in our path. I approached my dad's car. I could see the sadness in his eyes, the disappointment mirrored in his expression. Yet, despite the pain of our parting, I knew that it was the right decision, the only way forward for both of us. As we drove away from Nancy's place, I couldn't help but reflect on the events of the day, the tumultuous emotions that had gripped us both. And though the road ahead would be long and uncertain, I knew that I had made the right choice, for myself and for my future. As we reached our destination, I thanked my dad for his support, for being there for me in my time of need. And though the wounds of our failed marriage would take time to heal, I knew that with time and perseverance, I would emerge stronger than before, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. I stepped out of the car and watched my dad drive away. I felt a sense of liberation wash over me, a newfound freedom that filled me with hope for the future. And though the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, I knew that I was ready to face them head-on, armed with the knowledge that I had taken control of my own destiny. As I turned and walked towards my new life, I couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement, a glimmer of hope shining bright in the darkness. And though the road ahead would be long and arduous, I knew that I was ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to embrace the future with open arms. As I departed, taking with me the weight of an unspoken farewell, I couldn't help but notice the absence of remorse or apology in her demeanor for the actions that had led us to this moment. With a parting goodbye, tinged with the weight of impending termination, I wished her well. Yet it was only then, as I made my exit, that tears began to trickle down her cheeks. Nancy hurried in, a flurry of concern to offer solace, while Brad, trailing behind me onto the front porch, questioned my resolve, challenging the notion of dismantling a 14-year union over what he deemed a mere misunderstanding. In response, I confronted him, questioning the motives behind my wife's unexpected visit to him and Nancy, prompting Brad to momentarily lower his gaze, contemplating his response. Eventually, he relented, offering an apology before extending a hand to assist with unloading the truck. In swift collaboration, we completed the task within a mere 10 minutes, the echoes of Megan's tears resonating from the kitchen, though I found myself indifferent to their cause. The subsequent week brought forth the swift acts of termination from Globies for both Kirk and Megan, the latter refusing to sign an affidavit as advised by legal counsel. Their dismissal seemed to mark the final punctuation of a chapter, one in which Megan's subsequent absence extended beyond mere physical departure. No word came from her in the days that followed, no visitation to see our children, who, in their own innocent way, seemed content forging bonds with Janet in her stead. Our family unit, though tinged with the strains of recent events, found solace in shared activities devoid of any romantic overtones. Conscious decision made to safeguard against further complications amidst ongoing divorce proceedings. Time marched on, and after 4 months of legal battles and emotional upheaval, the divorces were finalized, with Megan acquiescing without contest, while Kirk's resistance proved futile, resulting in a significant financial blow. As the holiday season approached, Megan made a fleeting appearance, bearing gifts for the children, a gesture met with polite acknowledgement, though the specter of our fractured relationship loomed unspoken between us. With the house listed for sale, a new chapter awaited, one in which Janet emerged as a steadfast presence, filling the void left by Megan's absence. Meanwhile, in a separate narrative, the need for a crucial conversation hung heavy in the air as I locked eyes with the woman who had once been my partner for over 2 decades. Time had etched its mark upon us, altering the fabric of our relationship irreversibly. With a heavy heart, she delivered the news of her separation from Mike, a revelation that underscored the undeniable shift in our bond over the preceding years. In the midst of our discussion, Gwen's avoidance of eye contact spoke volumes, signaling the discomfort lingering beneath the surface as she broached the topic of our unraveling relationship. She delicately referenced my growing discontent over the preceding months, a sentiment I couldn't deny as the weight of familiarity settled upon us, suffocating the once vibrant spark that had defined our connection. The situation, eerily reminiscent of a conversation held over 2 years prior, resurfaced in my mind with unsettling clarity. It was a time when Gwen had shattered the illusion of our marital bliss, revealing her extramarital affair and the subsequent ultimatum she had delivered, dangling the threat of irreparable loss over my head. Our home, our children, and even my employment under her father's patronage. The memories flooded back, triggering a disconcerting sense of déjà vu as Gwen revisited the past, expressing gratitude for my patience and acquiescence during that tumultuous period. With a nonchalant shrug, I offered little to the dialogue, my mind still reeling from the echoes of betrayal and manipulation that lingered in the air. Gwen, undeterred, forged ahead, outlining her vision for our uncertain future, proposing a return to normalcy and the immediate resumption of cohabitation in our shared bedroom. She painted a picture of reconciliation, citing her emotional turmoil following Mike's abrupt departure from their own relationship. Intrigued by Mike's actions and the catalyst behind their sudden rupture, I probed for details, prompting Gwen's tearful confession of his harsh criticism regarding her physical appearance and age. His callous remarks, steeped in dissatisfaction and a desire for youthful companionship, cast a shadow over our conversation. Yet I treaded carefully, refraining from overt disagreement with his judgment. However, doubts lingered, echoing in the hollow spaces of my mind as I questioned whether we could truly recapture what was lost. The embarrassment endured in the eyes of our family and friends, compounded by my deliberate avoidance of familiar haunts, bore witness to the irreparable damage inflicted upon our once sacred union. Gwen's apologies rang hollow against the backdrop of her justifications, a feeble attempt to absolve herself of the consequences wrought by her actions. And yet, amidst the turmoil, a glimmer of hope flickered, a tentative optimism that perhaps, against all odds, we could rebuild what was broken, salvaging the fragments of our shattered love. In response to Gwen's proposition of reigniting our intimate connection, I couldn't help but recall the hurtful remarks conveyed to me by mutual acquaintances, painting Mike as an exhilarating alternative to the mundane routine of our lovemaking life. Despite Gwen's insistence that Mike wasn't inherently better but merely offered a different and more thrilling experience, I found myself hesitant to readily embrace the notion of returning to our shared bedroom, acutely aware of the damage inflicted upon my male ego. In an attempt to bridge the growing chasm between us, Gwen proposed a weekend getaway to Brighton. Envisioning a retreat to a familiar hotel and the opportunity to indulge in the nostalgia of driving my beloved classic Jaguar XK140. Yet, my response shattered her expectations as I revealed that I had sold the cherished car a year prior, an act emblematic of the detachment that had crept into our relationship. Gwen's disbelief reverberated in the air as I recounted the hours spent restoring the car to its former glory, highlighting her obliviousness to the intricacies of my life. As Gwen scrambled to comprehend the implications of my decision, I delivered another blow, informing her that the trust money she had once wielded as a financial safety net had long been depleted, redirected towards securing deposits for our children's homes. Her surprise was palpable as she grappled with the realization, prompting inquiries about our family company's financial standing and the fate of our shared wealth. With each revelation, Gwen's detachment from our financial affairs became increasingly evident, underscoring the chasm that had widened between us during her affair with Mike. Gwen's reaction oscillated between disbelief and indignation, her aversion to boats and the sea contrasting sharply with my newfound enthusiasm. As she grappled with the implications of my plans, I disclosed the intimate details of my sailing companion, Jazel, a 28-year-old French deckhand whose expertise extended beyond the confines of boat knowledge to culinary prowess and, perhaps most significantly, a shared passion for carnal pleasures. The revelation sparked a tumultuous exchange as Gwen wrestled with the realization of my extramarital liaison, the implications of which reverberated through our fractured relationship, laying bare the depths of our disconnection and the uncertain road ahead. The following day dawned with Gwen's tearful outburst echoing in my mind as I embarked on my journey to France. The allure of my boat and the companionship of Jazel beckoning me forward, leaving Gwen amidst her tearful lamentations, I couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation as my carefully laid plans began to unfold. In the back of my mind, I relished the prospect of the 6-bedroom villa I had quietly purchased nearby, unbeknownst to Gwen, utilizing the funds saved prior to the sale of the company. Imagining lazy afternoons by the pool and the playful antics of Susie, who possessed a penchant for bearing more than just her soul, I allowed myself a moment of anticipation. The thought of unlocking the garage doors to reveal my neglected Jaguar XK140 patiently awaiting our reunion brought a smile to my face. Soon, Jazel and I would cruise along the scenic French coast, indulging in the culinary delights of a familiar restaurant, savoring the taste of freedom and adventure. Meanwhile, fate dealt a harsh blow to Mike, whose misfortune unfolded in a violent encounter outside his beloved bar. The news of his mugging, resulting in a litany of injuries including 5 broken ribs, busted kneecaps, and the loss of both personal possessions and, notably, 1 testicle, served as a sobering reminder of life's capricious nature. It seemed the tides had turned, marking the abrupt end to his once enviable existence, a stark contrast to the turmoil that had engulfed my own life in recent months. As I embarked on my journey, leaving behind the echoes of Gwen's tears and the shattered remnants of our relationship, I couldn't help but feel a sense of liberation poised on the precipice of a new chapter filled with promise and possibility. With each passing mile, the weight of the past grew lighter, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose and the tantalizing prospect of a future forged on my own terms.